So this is the third video in this series, the second tutorial, and it is about the keyword none. Now none is a keyword that you don't really see it ever, basically. Um, it is a keyword, it's more of the behind the scenes keyword. It's when in a function, which we're going to go over how to make functions and return from functions, etc. in a later video. In functions, if you don't return anything, the return value is none. That is basically all none is ever used for. None is basically just the absence of value. When you don't return something, that is none. So we're going to open up the terminal, and I'm going to open up the interactive help utility and type in none. And you could see that none is an instance of the none type object. It's the only instance of it. Same with true and false. Those are the instances of the bool class. So how can you see none if it's behind the scenes? Well, you can't really. Well, basically, if I have a list and I want to sort this list, so I have a list of bananas, apples, and peaches. Okay? I'm going to assign this to a variable called x. Now, this obviously won't output anything, and that's just how variables work. Variables are not functions. They don't have they shouldn't output anything, obviously, because unless it's assigned to a function. And lists are not functions, lists are objects. So if I wanted to sort this, I would use the x.sort method, right? And that would give me a sorted version of this list, which I would think would be apples, bananas, then peaches. But when I do x.sort, because it's a method, it's not supposed to return anything. And that means it returns none. And you could actually see this by doing it like this. You call the x.sort method, and you assign it to another variable, such as y. And when you want to see what y is, you can't just click y, because it's going to return nothing. However, y is 100% none. There are two ways to verify this. One involves the keyword, which will come up in a later video. Maybe it's going to be the next video. Probably not. I don't know. I don't know yet. By the way, if you like this series, you could let me know in the comments, and also subscribe if you like this series. And share this with other people too if you like it that much. So you could tell that y is none without a keyword by just seeing if y equals none. And in the last video, we know that this will either output the keyword true or false. Those are the two keywords we went over in the last video. If you did not see that video, you probably should, because, I mean, we're using it, so why shouldn't you know about it? It's true. Y does equal none, and that's just how none works. Now, that's basically it for none, but there is one more thing about none I'd like to go over. I'm not going to go into huge depth about it because we kind of went over it in the last video. Now, if you watch the last video, you'll probably think like we did not go over none at all. Well, when we use the bool function, bool class rather, um, we we used numbers, integers to see what the output would be. So in the case of being truthy or falsy, uh, none happens to be exactly like 0. So bool 0 is the exact same thing as bool none, because bool none is false, obviously, because bool 0 is false. And just like in the last video, we already went over this. I don't really need to go over it, but just to recap, if you put this in a list or in a string, it's true, because, well, we went over that in the last video, so I'm just clarifying that. And that's basically it for none. Also, by the way, writing none doesn't output anything. And that's basically it for none. None isn't supposed to be used like by a user usually. It's supposed to be more of a back end thing, more of a behind the scenes keyword. So unlike true and false, for now we saw true and false looks kind of like behind the scenes, but true and false actually can be used a lot with different keywords and functions, and true and false are really useful keywords. None just isn't as useful, but I mean, it's here because, well, we need to return something, so return nothing. That doesn't make any sense, but it doesn't really have to make sense. Okay, well, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.